The air in the great hall of Ithaca is thick with the stench of roasted meat and the suffocating heat of 100 breathing men who do not belong here. Telemachus stands in the shadows of the limestone pillars, his hand white-knuckled upon the cold bronze of a spear he is not yet sure he has the right to carry. Before him, the Suitors, a pack of wolves in fine linen, laugh as they hack at the inheritance of a ghost. Will the blood of Odysseus finally boil in the veins of his son, or will the shadow of the absent king swallow him whole? 20 years is a long time for a ghost to rule. Since the black-hulled ships vanished into the mist of the Ionian Sea, headed for the high walls of Troy, the island has forgotten the weight of a true king's footfall. The Great Hall has become a den of parasites. They arrived like a slow-moving sickness, sons of local lords and the cruel, sensing a vacuum where power used to dwell. They do not merely court Queen Penelope, they occupy the land, consuming the flocks and mocking the memory of the man who built these walls with his own hands. Telemachus grew up in the margins of this occupation. He was a child when the first suitors arrived, a youth when they turned the servants against him, and now he is a man of 20 who has known only the slow, grinding humiliation of watching his father's legacy be devoured piece by piece. The era of heroes feels distant, a tale told by hearth fires now choked with the ash of his father's absence. The stones of the palace weep with neglect, and the very soil of the island feels thin, as if the spirit of hope has withered. The prince's heart is a furnace of suppressed fury and paralyzing doubt. He knows what he must do, yet the path is obscured by the legends he is expected to uphold. His intention is terrifying. He will force the shame of Ithaca into the light. He will summon the first public assembly since his father departed to demand these vultures be cast out. But internal friction gnaws at him. Who is he to command? He fears his voice will crack, confirming to the world that he is merely a boy playing at being a lion in his father's skin. Preparation begins not with steel, but with a visitation. A stranger arrives at the gates, Mentes, a leader of the Taphians. In truth, it is the goddess Athena, her grey eyes sharp with the wisdom of ages and the hardness of the storm. She finds Telemachus sitting among the suitors, his spirit broken and his eyes fixed on the floor. She speaks to him of his father as a living force and breathes sacred spirit into his lungs. She tells him he is no longer a child and must seek his father's spirit across the wine-dark waves. Inspired, Telemachus goes to the old nurse, Euryclea. He orders her to prepare the stores, barley meal in thick skins and wine in jars, and to keep his departure a secret from his mother, for he cannot bear her tears on top of his own fear. He takes up the great spear of his father, the wood worn smooth by years of waiting, a symbol of authority he has yet to earn. He looks at the weapon and whispers that the sea is wide, but the hall is smaller than a grave. While the suitors sleep, his resolve sharpens. The threshold is crossed when the sun rises over the jagged peaks of Ithaca. For the first time in a generation, the heralds cry out for an assembly. The people gather, wondering if the king has returned. But it is only the prince, stepping into the sunlight of the agora, his father's spear in his hand, and the goddess walking unseen at his side. The path to the suitors' destruction is open, and Telemachus has chosen to walk it, stepping out from the shadows into the blinding judgment of the public square to face his destiny. The first contact is not a blow of iron, but a blow of words. As Telemachus stands before the elders, his voice steadying, Antinous rises. The lead suitor does not use a sword. He uses the shame of the queen. He mocks Penelope's trickery, the shroud she weaves by day and unweaves by night, and laughs in the prince's face. He exploits Telemachus's deepest fear, that he is powerless and his mother is a deceiver. The suitors lean back, their teeth bared in predatory grins, seeing only a pup barking at a pack of seasoned, hungry wolves. The struggle in the assembly grows physical as the crowd begins to murmur. The air vibrates with the tension of a riot. Telemachus feels the heat rising in his neck. He shouts for justice, his words short and rhythmic, falling like hammer blows on stone. "You eat my house, you kill my name, you mock the gods." The suitors respond with derision and spit. The prince's plan to win them over with the logic of law unravels instantly. He realizes there is no law in Ithaca, but the law of the strong. He must adapt. He looks to the sky, his eyes searching the blue void for a sign. Suddenly, two eagles drop from the mountain heights, tearing at each other's throats as they soar over the crowd, a bloody omen of the carnage to come. The elders tremble, sensing the ancient power of Zeus in the beating of those wings, but the suitors only laugh louder. Telemachus's bravado turns to a grim, cold resolve. He will not win here today. He looks at the iron and the blood-slicked meat of his memory, and he knows that the time for words is over. In the heat of the mockery, a revelation strikes. Telemachus realizes the suitors do not just want wealth, they want the death of the king's soul. They want to erase Odysseus by making his son a servant in his own hall. He realizes his vulnerability is not his youth, but his isolation. In that loneliness, he finds strength. He is not just a son, he is a man who must find his father. He understands now that he cannot wait for his father to save him. He must become the man his father would come home to. The assembly ends in a bitter stalemate. The suitors return to their wine, and the elders drift away in fear. But Telemachus is changed. He walks to the shore as the tide pulls away from the land. He carries the image of the eagles in his mind, a promise of blood. He has failed to move the men of Ithaca, but he has moved himself. He cannot return to the boy who sat in the shadows of the pillars. The spear in his hand feels heavier now, not with doubt, but with the weight of the journey ahead. As the sun dips below the horizon, Telemachus stands on the prow of a swift ship, his allies straining at the oars. Behind him, the torches of the great hall flicker like dying stars. From the shore, witnesses see only a small craft slipping into the dark, but those who know the omens feel the shift in the wind. The silence of the night is broken only by the rhythmic splash of the sea. Ithaca is behind him, still under the thumb of parasites, but for the first time, the prince is not a prisoner. He is a hunter. The price of this step is high. He has traded safety for the uncertainty of the deep. He has learned that authority is not given by blood. It is seized through the willingness to stand alone in the storm. He accepted his fate, realizing a king is only as strong as the truth he is willing to face. He looked into the eyes of the wolves and did not blink. Ahead lies Pylos, where the prince must learn the ways of kings and the bitter truth of the war that broke the world. For the sun's Odyssey has begun. Walk with us through the old stories. Subscribe to Saga Weaver, where ancient warriors face impossible choices.